Hi, and welcome back to Real Talk English Pro, the channel where two friends, Alex and Sarah, have honest conversations about the things most people never quite admit out loud, and you learn natural English while you listen. If this is your first video, really glad you found us. If you are coming back, thanks for being here again. Today's conversation is about something that affects all of us. In lifts, in queues, at parties, with new colleagues, small talk. Some people seem to do it effortlessly. Most of us quietly find it really difficult. Today, Alex and Sarah both admit something. They both struggle with it too. And together, they try to figure out why it is so hard and what actually works. Let us get into it. You step into a lift. There is one other person in there. It is a long ride to the top floor. You both stand in silence, looking at your phones, pretending you have not seen each other. Both of you are thinking the same thing. Should I say something? But neither of you does. Small talk is one of the most universally awkward parts of modern life, and in a second language, it can feel impossible. Today, Alex and Sarah are both going to admit something. They both find it hard too, and together, they are going to try to figure out what actually works. Pay attention to the phrases they use along the way. You will use them this week, I promise. Alex and Sarah have each just come from a different networking event. Both had to do a lot of small talk, and both are about to admit something.
How was your event?
Exhausting. Not because the people were bad, just because small talk drains me. By the end, I was running on fumes. How was yours?
Honestly, the same. I do not know what it is about small talk, but I find it so much harder than real conversation. Give me a deep topic with one person and I am happy for an hour. Put me in a room where I have to do 5 minutes of small talk with 20 different people, I leave feeling like I have run a marathon.
Wait, you find it hard? You are really good at it.
I am good at hiding that I find it hard. That is different.
That is honestly such a relief to hear, because I always assumed I was uniquely bad at it. Everyone else seems so natural at it, like they have some secret manual I missed at school.
I think most people are quietly struggling. They just hide it well. The people who genuinely enjoy small talk are actually quite rare. Most of us are doing it because we have to, not because it comes naturally.
Then why is it so hard? It feels like such a basic thing.
I think because it is a strange combination of pressure and pointlessness. You feel pressure to say something interesting, but you know neither of you is going to remember any of this in an hour. So you are trying to be brilliant in a context where being brilliant does not actually matter. That is exhausting.
That is exactly it. I keep thinking I need to say something witty or memorable, and then I just freeze and end up saying something about the weather.
The weather is fine, though. People judge weather small talk too harshly. The whole point of small talk is to be safe and easy. It is not supposed to be brilliant. It is supposed to be warm.
Warm, not brilliant. That is a really useful way to put it.
I read that somewhere and it changed how I thought about it. The goal of small talk is not to impress someone. It is to make them feel comfortable in your presence. Once you understand that, you stop trying to be clever and you start being kind.
So if I am not trying to be clever, what am I actually trying to do?
Build a little bit of rapport. That is it, just a small connection. Enough so that the next time you see each other, the conversation has somewhere to start. Small talk is not a destination, it is a doorway.
A doorway. I like that.
Most small talk does not lead anywhere, and that is fine. But occasionally, every so often, you find something. A shared interest, a funny coincidence, a topic that lights both of you up. And then, small talk turns into something else entirely.
And how do you find that? Like, what actually works?
The thing that has helped me most is what I call the two-question rule. After someone says something, instead of just responding with your own thing, ask them another question about what they just said. So if they say, "I just got back from holiday," you do not immediately say, "Oh, I went on holiday last month too." You say, "Where did you go?" And then, after they answer, another question. "What was your favorite part?"
So you stay on their topic rather than jumping to your own.
Exactly. Two questions. That gives them a chance to actually share something, and it shows you are genuinely curious. The biggest mistake in small talk is treating it as a swap. They say a thing, you say a thing. They say another thing. Nothing builds, nobody connects.
That is honestly my default. I always think it is polite to share my own version after they share theirs.
It is not impolite, but it does not build anything either. The two-question rule slows the conversation down enough for actual connection to happen.
Okay, what about the topics themselves? Because I always feel like I run out of things to talk about within about 30 seconds.
There are a few topics that almost always work as starting points. The weather is one. Yes, boring, but reliable. Especially if there is anything mildly unusual about it. "I cannot believe this weather" is a perfectly fine opener if the weather is unusually nice, unusually bad, or just unusually anything.
What else?
The setting. Whatever room you are in is something you have in common. Have you been here before? Have you been to one of these before? What do you make of this place? Those are golden because they let the other person share something they already have an opinion on.
I never thought of that. The room is a free topic.
And then there is the shared reason for being there. At a wedding, how do you know the couple? At a networking event, what brings you here? At a class, is this your first time? That kind of question gives the other person something easy to talk about and tells you something useful about them in return.
What brings you here? That is such a soft, easy opener.
It works at almost any event. It is open enough that they can answer briefly or in detail, and it leads naturally to follow-up questions.
What about topics that absolutely do not work? Things I should avoid.
Anything that puts the other person in a tough spot. Politics, religion, salary. With strangers, avoid them. The risk is too high. You do not know enough about the person to know how they will react.
That seems obvious, but I have seen people make those mistakes.
Also, anything overly personal too soon. Health problems, relationship details, family conflicts. Save those for actual friends. Small talk is meant to be safe and pleasant. It is not a therapy session.
What about complaining? Because I notice a lot of people start with a complaint. The traffic, the weather, the food.
Light complaining is fine. It actually creates connection because both of you are reacting to the same thing. But there is a line. Light complaining is, "Ugh, this rain." Heavy complaining is, "This country is going downhill and I cannot stand it anymore." One is bonding, the other is draining.
Light is bonding, heavy is draining.
That is your rule for the day.
Okay, what about at work specifically? Because office small talk is different. I always feel like I should be more professional, but also natural, which feels impossible.
Office small talk is actually easier in some ways because you already have shared context. You are both working at the same place, so you have automatic topics. The weekend is a classic one. On a Monday, did you do anything nice over the weekend? On a Friday, any plans for the weekend? Those two questions cover most of the year.
And what if they say they did not do anything?
Then you ask, is that what you needed? Or, did you just take it easy? You always have a follow-up. Whatever they answered, you can find one more question.
The two-question rule again.
Always.
What about meetings, where you have to make small talk for like 5 minutes before the meeting actually starts?
The pre-meeting chat. Everyone hates that. But it serves a purpose. It softens the start of the meeting. Two safe topics for those moments. Current projects. How is your project going? Or how busy they are. What kind of week are you having? Both are work relevant. Both are easy. Both lead naturally to other things.
What about networking events? Those genuinely terrify me.
Networking is the hardest small talk setting because the stakes feel higher. But here's the secret. Most people at networking events are equally nervous. You are not alone in that. The person across from you is probably also worried about what to say next.
That is genuinely comforting.
So go in with a softer goal. You do not have to walk away with 3 new clients. You just have to have a few pleasant conversations. If you connect with one person properly, that is a successful event. That mindset shift takes off enormous pressure.
And what do you actually say at networking?
3 reliable openers. What brings you here? We covered that. What do you do? Classic, but works. And my favorite. I do not really know anyone here. Do you mind if I join you? That last one is gold because it admits something honest, and most people will be relieved to hear it.
I do not really know anyone here. That is so disarming.
It works because most people are also in that situation. You are giving them permission to admit they feel the same way. Suddenly, you are not strangers nervously talking. You are 2 people who are slightly out of their depth, together.
That actually changes a lot about how I think about networking.
And here's the thing about small talk in general. Sometimes, rarely, but sometimes, it stops being small talk. You ask the right question. They give an interesting answer. You ask another question. They give another. And suddenly, 30 minutes have gone by, and you are no longer making small talk. You are having a real conversation.
That is what makes it all worth it.
Exactly. Most small talk goes nowhere, but every now and then it leads somewhere. And those moments are why we keep doing it. You cannot have the deep conversations without the surface ones first.
What about silence, though? Like the awkward pause when the conversation is just run out.
Silence is not as bad as people think. The pressure to fill every gap is what makes small talk exhausting. A 2 or 3 second pause is normal. Native speakers pause all the time. If the silence really has gone on too long, you can simply say, "Anyway," and pivot to a new topic. Or, "That was random, was it not?" with a small laugh. You can acknowledge the awkwardness without making it worse.
Acknowledging the awkwardness is allowed.
Often, it actually helps. Once you both laugh at the awkwardness disappears. It is the pretending that things are normal when they are not that makes things uncomfortable.
Okay, what is the single most useful thing I can take away from this conversation?
Be curious, not interesting. Stop trying to be the most fascinating person in the room. Just be genuinely curious about the person in front of you. Ask them questions. Listen to their answers. Ask follow-up questions. People love feeling listened to far more than they love being entertained.
Be curious, not interesting.
That is the whole game.
It is also a relief. Because being curious is much easier than being clever.
Curiosity is sustainable. Cleverness runs out by the 5th person.
Thank you. I came in feeling drained. I am leaving feeling like I have actually got something to work with for next time.
You will still find it hard,
Always honest. I love it.
but less hard than before. That is the win.
That was a real conversation about something every single one of us deals with: small talk. Now, let us look at what you can take from today's conversation. 5 key phrases, 4 vocabulary words, 4 phrasal verbs, 13 things in total. Let us go through them. Let us start with the key phrases. These are real conversation starters you can use the very next time you find yourself in a small talk situation. Phrase number 1. How is your week going? This is one of the safest, most reliable openers in English. It is warmer than "how are you" because it asks about something specific, and it gives the other person plenty to talk about. For example, "Hey, good to see you. How is your week going?" Use it at work, with neighbors, with anyone you know slightly. It is friendly, low pressure, and almost never fails. Phrase number 2. I cannot believe this weather. Yes, weather small talk. People dismiss it, but it works. It is reliable, safe, and immediately shared. Both of you are experiencing the same weather. That is automatic common ground. For example, I cannot believe this weather. Has it been like this all week? The trick is to follow it with a question, turning a comment into a conversation. Phrase number 3. Have you been here before? This phrase is golden because it uses the setting itself as a topic. Wherever you are, you and the other person share that location. So the room becomes a free, shared subject. For example, first time here? Or have you been before? It works at events, cafes, classes, weddings, anywhere with a venue. Phrase number 4. What brings you here? A soft, easy opener for any kind of event. It signals interest without being pushy, and the answer often tells you something useful. For example, so what brings you here today? Use it at conferences, parties, networking events, any setting where people have come for a reason. Phrase number 5. It is funny you should say that. This phrase signals a connection between something they said and something you have to share. It is warm, friendly, and feels collaborative rather than competitive. For example, oh, it is funny you should say that. I had the same experience last month. Use it to bridge from their story into yours without making it feel like you are taking over. Now, vocabulary words. Words that come up constantly when people talk about social interaction and conversation. Word number 1. Awkward. This describes something uncomfortable, embarrassing, or socially difficult. For example, there was an awkward silence after his joke. Awkward is one of the most used words in English social conversation. You will hear it everywhere. Awkward silence, awkward moment, awkward small talk. Word number 2. Rapport. This means a feeling of connection or understanding between two people. For example, small talk is really about building rapport, not impressing people. Rapport is what you are quietly trying to build in any conversation with someone new. It is the warm sense that two people are getting along. Word number 3. Small talk. The phrase itself is worth defining. Small talk means light, friendly conversation about safe topics, usually with people you do not know well. For example, I had to make small talk for an hour at the party. Small talk is the social fabric of everyday life. At work, at events, in queues, in lifts. Word number 4. Observation. This means something you have noticed and chosen to share. For example, a simple observation about the room can be a great way to start a conversation. Many of the best small talk openers are just observations about the weather, the venue, the food, the music. And finally, phrasal verbs. These are the 2-word verbs you will hear native speakers use when talking about conversations and social moments. Phrasal verb number 1. Open up. This means to share something personal or honest with someone. In a conversation, it means moving from surface chat to something deeper. For example, once she felt comfortable, she really opened up about her career change. Open up is the natural next step beyond small talk. When someone opens up, you know the conversation has shifted into something more meaningful. Phrasal verb number 2. Pick up on. This means to notice or detect something, often something subtle. For example, I picked up on the fact that she was nervous, so I tried to slow down. Picking up on cues is a key skill in small talk. Good conversationalists are constantly picking up on what the other person is feeling and adjusting. Phrasal verb number 3. Strike up a conversation. This means to start a conversation, usually with someone you do not know. For example, I struck up a conversation with the person next to me on the train. Striking up conversations with strangers is rare in some cultures and common in others. The phrase itself sounds slightly braver than starting a conversation because it implies you initiated it. Phrasal verb number 4. Hit it off. This means to instantly get along well with someone you have just met. For example, we just hit it off straight away. By the end of the night, we were talking like old friends. Hitting it off is the magic moment when small talk turns into a real connection. It is the reason small talk is worth doing in the first place. So, that is your 13 takeaways for today. 5 phrases, 4 vocabulary words, 4 phrasal verbs. All from one honest conversation about something we all do every day, whether we like it or not. Now, think about your own life. Where do you find small talk hardest? And which phrase from today are you actually going to try this week? That is your practice for this week. That is everything for today. Tell me in the comments, do you find small talk easy or really difficult? And which situation do you struggle with most? Lifts? Parties? Work events? Something else? I love reading these. I read every single one. If you found this useful, you will also want to watch our video on how to politely end a boring conversation. It is the perfect companion to today's video. Start a conversation, end one. 2 skills for the price of 2 videos. The link is on screen right now. And if you have not subscribed yet, please do. A new real conversation every week. See you next time on Real Talk English Pro.